Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County Forum for candidates for the Bothell City Council, Position 4. We're sorry for the delay. We had some technical problems, but thank you for your patience. I'm Vicki Roberts-Gassler. I'm a member and a past president of our league. This forum is being live streamed to our league YouTube channel. To those in the virtual space, thank you for joining us. We refer to these primary forums as virtual doorbelling. We will ask a short series of questions, the kind of questions you might ask a candidate who came to your door. Our questions are designed to give you a clear idea of each candidate's experience and the issues they believe are important to address. A recording of the forum will be available on this same YouTube channel for later viewing. Let me provide some background for the position. Council members manage basic public services: sewer, water, fire, police, roads, parks, and so on. They establish and enforce local laws affecting individuals and businesses, including local taxes. They control how land can be used, provide direction to the mayor or the city manager, and manage relationships with other governments, nonprofits, and businesses for the benefit of city residents. Candidates for Bothell City Council Position 4 are Ann Aagaard, Carston Curd, and Mark Swanson. The League wants to thank all the candidates for running for office, for their willingness to serve the community if elected, and for participating in this forum. It is the policy of the League to be nonpartisan. Therefore, we neither endorse nor oppose candidates or parties. We do take positions on issues which we have studied and on which we have reached consensus. The rules for forum participation were sent ahead of time to all participants, and they have agreed to engage in respectful communication throughout the event. Let us briefly explain the question and answer period rules, and then we can begin. I will pose the questions and will clearly state the amount of time allowed for each answer. We are using a countdown timer visible to all candidates, and time limits on answers will be strictly enforced. I will change the starting order for each question, alternating candidates in the starting position to ensure a fair sequence. The order for the first question will be Carston Curd, Mark Swanson, and Ann Aagaard. Let us begin. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to this first question. Mr. Curd, the question is, what are the major issues you feel need to be addressed by this office? Please explain why you are focusing on these issues.
Great, thank you. Yeah, well, City Council sets the values associated with the day-to-day operations of our city, how we plan to accommodate change, and what it means to be a good neighbor, whether that's next door or regionally between jurisdictions. The 3 emergent issues are housing, environmental justice, and accessible civic engagement. I'm a college graduate with a higher than average union wage job, and I know firsthand how difficult it is to find housing that doesn't break the bank here. City Council members need to recognize that people of average incomes can't afford to live here anymore because of the housing policy we've had for half a century. Values need to match laws to reduce McMansions and start supporting people who want to age in place, split their house for their families, or rent out space to students or blue-collar workers. Next, environmental leaders in our city have historically worked to stop things from being built, and while it's resulted in some amazing open space in parts of our city, it's now time to start saying yes to things that will build a positive legacy for future Bothellites. It's time to bring the Snohomish County side of our city parity with green space and equitable tree canopy coverage. We need to prioritize accessible and reliable public transportation and invest in safe routes for those biking, walking, or rolling to reduce traffic through our community, benefit public health, and increase access to amenities and the outdoors. Lastly, it's really hard to engage with the city for most people. When meetings are confined to Tuesday nights, we exclude broad swaths of our community who can't find childcare, they can't get home from work in time, or maybe they just don't have the energy to participate in our public process. Council members need to be transparent and actively engage with constituents to solicit feedback and update the community on issues at hand.
Thank you. Mr. Swanson. Same question.
Well, like a lot of Bothelites, I've been horrified by the amount of apartments that are going up. And I've been paying attention to Bothell City Council for years, but quite frankly, you can't pay that much attention. So I was surprised when I saw all these apartments going up, particularly at Country Village is gone. We'll never see Santa on a zip line again. Out there at the Seattle Times property. And so I started looking into this thing. And we are growing at 50 times the US population rate here in Bothell over the next 2 years. Even the high end, we're growing at 10 times the US population rate. Depends on who you're going to. The bottom line is, we have had a sneak attack upon our neighborhoods. So I realized, God, nobody is actually fighting for the neighborhoods of Bothell. It's gone so far now that the draft of the Bothell vision, they're deleting out the word single family residences. So I realized there's nobody out there on the ticket to vote for that was defiantly opposing this growth rate. I am the candidate that's going to fight against 5-story buildings in your backyard. I think we need to fight the GMA conclusions, and that's why I had to run, even though I don't want to.
Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Aagaard. Same question.
My 3 major priorities are balancing housing, that is middle housing, with urban forestry and tree canopy, maintaining our natural resources, the steep slopes, the wetlands, streams, and their buffers. My second priority is improving salmon habitat by expanding riparian areas along streams in Bothell to produce a net gain in ecological functions through Bothell's critical areas ordinances and the update of the Shoreline Master Program. And my third priority is implementing climate policies that are effective in protecting our atmosphere, rivers, lakes, fish, and wildlife for our youth who deserve a livable climate, and to provide a thriving, resilient future for all our citizens. I am focusing on these issues because the laws mandated for completing the GMA and Shoreline Management Act are exactly the terms of this office, 2024 to 2028. Middle housing must be implemented by 2025, the model ordinance will be provided in about 6 months, and a new climate element is required for the Bothell GMA update. I support a tree canopy ordinance as developed by the Department of Natural Resources and the American Forestry Collaboration. Preservation is at the forefront of this ordinance to ensure that all residents have equitable access to benefits provided by trees, watershed management, carbon sequestration, air pollution removal, habitat for wildlife, fish, heat island mitigation, and public health benefits.
Thank you. Our second question will be 90 seconds. In fact, that's for the second and third questions. Timer, please reset the clock for 90 seconds. The question is, and we will begin this time with Mr. Swanson, what qualifications and experience make you a good choice to address these issues? Mr. Swanson.
Well, first off, I have a high degree of education in the STEM curriculum. I've got 2 engineering degrees, and I also have a bunch of electives to get those 2 engineering degrees, agricultural engineering and mechanical engineering. I took a bunch of electives in chemical engineering. So I'm well versed in the science of a lot of things that confront the city right now. Global warming, city runoff. I can take a look and read through the science, understand it, and bring it to policy. I don't think that Bothell City Council's paid attention to the science. For instance, the tire dust risk. Tire dust from metro buses are killing our brook trout, our rainbow trout, killing our coho salmon up to 90% mortality rate. So they swim thousands of miles, come up the Sammamish River, and they can't make it 2 city blocks through Bothell because of the tire dust poisoning that was identified by the University of Washington, Bothell, Washington State's Department of the Environment, and the Urban City Waters people. We've got to change what's happening here. We can't continue to have more traffic and less parking spots.
Thank you. Ms. Aagaard.
Yes, my qualifications. I served as a State League of Women Voters Land Use and Shoreline and Wetlands Chair on the study committee that produced the study in 2006 on the Growth Management Act of Washington State, its successes and challenges, and on the recent statewide study for the Shoreline Management Act at 50 plus years. I served on the Bothell Shoreline Board from 2018 to 2023. I led the successful hydraulic permit appeal that required daylighting of Horse Creek, now a precedent-setting state-of-the-art restoration project. I was appointed by Attorney General Christine Gregoire to serve on a negotiated settlement team for the negotiated settlement of the Shoreline Master Program guidelines. I served on the Washington State Ecological Commission, appointed by Governors Booth Gardner and Mike Lowry. I received the Center for Environmental Law and Policy Ralph W. Johnson Award for my preservation of the 58 acres of the wetlands located on the Bothell campus. And I currently serve on the Salmon Recovery Council of the Puget Sound Partnership, representing the League of Women Voters of Washington and the Puget Sound Environmental Caucus.
Thank you. Mr. Curd.
Yeah, so I'm the vice chair of our planning commission in the city of Bothell, and I intensely study and suggest edits to our city's laws and plans, and have been doing so for the past 4 years. During my time on the commission, I've used skills in education and outreach to develop new ways to reach members of our community who don't normally engage with the city, like producing a housing code walking tour that was featured in local news and attracted statewide attention. In my professional life, I'm a salmon recovery planner for unincorporated Snohomish County, and I have a solid background in local government processes. I'm involved in regional coordination, planning, and collaboration on the latest science, policy, and restoration projects. That helps me understand Bothell's policy context in environmental justice, stewardship, and sustainability, but it's also equipped me to help households across Bothell understand actions that they can take to improve water quality and steward our remaining natural spaces.
Thank you. For the next question, we will begin with Ms. Aagaard. Councils, commissions, and boards are required to deliberate and make decisions in public, and to hear from those whose ideas may differ. Please give us an example that demonstrates your ability to work in this way. 90 seconds.
I was appointed to serve on an advisory body convened by the Architectural for NBBJ for the University of Washington Cascade Community College for the co-located campus in North Creek Valley. It included significant state highway improvements, connecting regional bike trails, preservation of historic buildings, and a major wetland restoration project. The siting, establishment, and co-located campus was innovated and very controversial statewide. With the skilled leadership, careful listening, and discussing our disagreements and concerns, we were able to negotiate the major differences. Today, the University of Washington Community College collated campus is deemed a success and has grown beyond all expectations. I currently serve on the Salmon Recovery Council of the Puget Sound Partnership, and my membership includes considering the tribal treaty rights affecting Puget Sound and salmon. We negotiate and set policy by the distribution of major funding sources, both from the state and the federal levels, for salmon restoration.
Thank you. Mr. Curd.
Yeah, being appointed to Bothell's Planning Commission for the past 4 years has been a study in learning how to make public decisions. I found the key isn't simply balance, but mostly in representing and supporting community values and searching for evidence-based solutions to problems that might come up. For example, when Planning Commission studied moderate density housing, I heard from residents and experts that our current housing is unaffordable to average income people, and that raising the density of our city would help to provide more housing options and price points. But we heard from longtime residents that they were fiercely opposed to changes in the size of structures in our neighborhoods, and that change was really difficult for so many people. Everyone we talked to cared deeply about the environment too. Planning Commission deliberated and decided that middle housing, which is duplexes through fourplexes, granny flats, and cottage courts, those types of houses were appropriately sized for existing neighborhoods. They could fit into the existing footprints of those status quo McMansions, and they offered more modestly priced options for people. They could be applied citywide to reduce the burden of change in any one specific neighborhood too. Planning Commission also crafted special accommodations for saving mature trees and incentivizing stormwater features like rain gardens. We heard the feedback, we learned the community values, and we creatively problem solved with proven systems to achieve an appropriate outcome.
Mr. Swanson.
The Washington State Department of Ecology has no idea what they're going to do about this tire preservative due to the tire dust that's coming off of cars and buses and trucks. They don't know. The science is not settled. Rain gardens are not going to solve the problem. We are killing our brook trout, our rainbow trout. It's impacting the orca population. The coho salmon can't make it. So, I don't know what to say about all this. Well, I dealt with the salmon recovery thing. This science about the tire dust killing our coho salmon, it's been out since 2020. So when I go to the Planning Commission, do I hear things like, oh God, we got to save our salmon. Oh, we need to. No, I hear the decisions in this city is being driven by politics, not by science. And I'm tired of it, which is why I'm running. If you want to stop this massive apartment building, killing our wildlife, I haven't even brought up the black-tailed deer that are sleeping in my backyard, an R84 parcel. A doe and her fawns are sleeping in my backyard. If you want to stop this, you better vote for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Timer. Please note that candidates will have 60 seconds for our final question, and it is this. Please tell us something about your life experience that might surprise or intrigue voters, beginning with Mr. Curd.
Thanks. Yeah, my first job out of school as a geologist got me really passionate about local government. In addition to mapping landslides, rivers, and earthquakes, I also characterize soils for foundations. While our city has been changing rapidly, I experienced the true pace and scale of change across our whole region. As one of the last humans walking through pristine forests and working farmlands in the foothills before they were bulldozed and paved over for suburban sprawl, it really traumatized me, and it encouraged me to devote my life to public service and strengthening our rules and enforcement of environmental policy to ensure that we respect the land for future generations. I help people understand their impact, When cities do their job and become habitat for people, pressure is removed from those natural places and working lands in the foothills at risk of permanent conversion.
Thank you. Mr. Swanson.
I'm not going to go into details about what's happening here in Bothell, but our wildlife, our fish, our tree canopies, our green belts, they're all under threat. And they're all under threat because Bothell as a city has been attacked with a sneak attack. These people that are in control of the city now do not represent the interests of Bothell neighborhoods. I do. So what might surprise you? I went into partnership in 1994 and created the first wind turbine electricity production business in the state of Washington. Number one, wind power. Electrical production. I'm the first person to have done it with my partner way back in the year 2000. I'm concerned about the environment, but I'm going to do something about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Aagaard.
Long ago, I taught biology at Roosevelt High School in Seattle. It was an exciting time to be teaching, for DNA had just been discovered and was about to change our understanding of life. None of this was yet in the textbooks, and so I purchased copies of Scientific American article on the new DNA science and used it in my class. 40 years later, I received a phone call from Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center inviting me to a luncheon at the Westin Hotel in Seattle, honoring Dr. Linda Buck, the 2004 winner of the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine for her groundbreaking work in genetics. Linda had been in my biology class at Roosevelt, and in her 1964 yearbook, I had written, "Someday you will be a great scientist." She remembered me, and as I visited with her and those distinguished guests that February day, the discussions centered around teachers had been influential in their students' lives. It was a
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the time is up. So thank you, candidates. The League appreciates the candidates for joining us and for running for office. A recording of this forum and others will be available on the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County website and YouTube channel. Find the links at lwvsnoho.org. We encourage you to explore additional information about these and all candidates. The Snohomish County voter pamphlet will be mailed to residents starting on July 12th. Primary election ballots will be mailed starting July 13th, and Election Day is August 1st. Please be a voter. Thank you to our League Candidate Forum team, and special thanks to Dave Moon and the Sultan School students at TurkPride.tv who made this live stream possible. And of course, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.